guys have always repped for the redneck demographic.
Pretty much.
We've got the redneck stomp and everything.
There we go. Welcome to Florida.
Obituary's gonna kick fucking ass!
Death metal legends Obituary called Tampa, Florida home. What Norway is to black metal and the Bay Area is to thrash, Tampa is indisputably to the legacy of death metal. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, bands like Deicide, Morbid Angel, and Obituary came together to create and refine a genre that's still having an impact on extreme and not so extreme metal today. Now, 3 decades in, Obituary is still going strong, still releasing new music, still touring the world, and most importantly, still slaying. You guys are from Tampa, right?
In 1980, we moved here from Miami to Tampa. So we've been here, we're Tampa. We've been here a long ass time. We do see a lot of cities a lot. It's fun to go and play shows in those places, but we always come back to the humidity of Florida. I'll never leave.
Obituary, that sound is just so iconic at this point. Like, just the voice and the stomp and that tone that just sounds like Florida ooze.
Certainly a caveman approach to music,
yeah,
to say the least.
It's funny because nearly 30 years people have asked, how does Trevor get his sound? And Trevor's never hid anything. He tells them straight up. It's a Fender Stratocaster with a Marshall head and a rat pedal, and that's it.
How did you guys tour when you first started out? Did you I remember the Slayer guys told me they used to tour in their friend's Camaro.
Our very first show was in friggin' San Francisco.
We drove all the way to San Francisco to open for Sacred Reich in 1990. It took us 3 days to drive it. Your legs are just dead, and they're like, all right, you guys are on in 20 minutes. By the way, a couple dudes from Metallica are here tonight. I'm like, wow, great, killer. We did 6 weeks, 7 people crushed into a van. And that was fun because we were young, and at the time it was awesome.
Do you still get excited to go on tour?
It's fun.
The whole band, we're digging it right now. Everyone's on the same page, everyone's committed, and we're tight as a band. It's one thing to make good albums, and a lot of bands make good albums, but it's hard to be really good on stage and live every night.
Live, we can have a lot of fun, and we're just much better live than in any studio, that's for sure.
We were 14 and 15, we would go see Sabotage and Nasty Savage play. That was like our local heroes, and we wanted to be like them. So we started playing music too, but also it's natural. We just want to be heavier and faster, that's how it goes.
I mean, you go back 30 years ago and you're starting your band and you're like, you never would have thought like, oh, we're gonna create this movement of music and it's gonna just take over the world, and here we are 30 years later gonna be touring still. I never thought that ever.
Back in the 90s, I'm sure it was a little tougher to find somewhere to play.
And it was just a whole different ballgame. It was a lot of people would show up. Obituary to play a show, and snap of a finger, there'd be 800, maybe 1,000 people. And nowadays, you're happy if 400 show up.
There's a lot more bands now, I guess.
And a lot more venues. That's another thing, it's a lot of shows going on.
When we started doing it, it was like an instant TV crew showing up and talking about Satan and this and that, and Glenn's with his cross, and everybody was panicking because it was all new to them. We just are so not serious with everything that we do that it's different from a lot of the metal bands that you might see.
Obituary's been here a long time, and we're pretty comfortable with who we are. We don't carry leather pants to the show to try and make it look heavier. We are who we are, and we leave the music speak for itself.
Imagine leather pants in Florida.
That ain't gonna happen.
Jesus Christ. You guys never even...
I don't even own long pants, put it that way.
Did you guys ever think you would get this far when you started way back then?
Absolutely not.
We didn't even know there'd be a second record. We were happy to have Slowly We Rot out. We're like, look at that thing. Yeah, we're a band.
We were just so young. We were just happy going home and just getting in the garage and jamming. You walk out on stage in front of 80,000 people at some festival or something, you know, the people are like, you know, you can barely read their t-shirts, they're so far away from you. Two totally different worlds.
When did you notice that shift happening where people started to actually take it a little more seriously outside of just metalheads?
I think the world took death metal serious with like Obituary, Deicide. The minute the album came out, people were waiting for us and begging to come to that part of the world, and it's pretty cool, you know, especially when you're that young, you know, you're just like, I wasn't even 20 yet. I was probably still a teenager, and we were getting on an airplane to go do a show.
It's weird when you start, I mean, we were just still in high school. Certainly didn't plan on even doing a second record, let alone even trying the tour. We were just so young, we were just happy going home and just getting in the garage and jamming. You know, until my mom's like, hey, everybody, Trevor, go home. Time for dinner.
You were a band with your brother for like most of your life. Do you guys have kids?
I do.
Do you?
I got two, yeah.
Do you want them to be into heavy metal?
It doesn't really matter to me. Whatever makes them happy, they can go for it. Now, the Dolphins they have to root for. I tell them I'll throw them out of the house.
I don't have human children, so I dump a little bit of money into my feral cats. 10, 12 years ago, my girlfriend and I kind of educated ourselves because we were tired of seeing kittens being born in the parking lot, cats getting hit by cars, and just the overpopulation problem. So we learned the Humane Society has a program called Trap, Neuter, Vaccinate, Return. They let you borrow the traps. It's safe for the cat. You take them and they get spayed, neutered, and they get vaccinated for rabies. And then you return them right back where they were trapped. So they know where they're living, they just can no longer breed. And then I have a big heart, so I put down food for them at the evenings before I eat dinner is what I do. And that's pretty much it.
What was the scene like when you first started?
If you're going back that far, you got to realize that 1985, when I was literally just a 16-year-old kid, I wasn't allowed in clubs. It was like you had to go play a keg party because there was no like metal bars yet. There was rock and roll bars and there was concerts, but we were like in between both of that. We were still figuring it out. So it all changed very quickly with the Brass Mug. She's been around long enough where she was one of the first that actually started putting on shows for metalheads.
We're here in the parking lot of the Brass Mug, and Obituary is about to go on after this last band. We're gonna go take a walk around the parking lot and chat to some fans.
Obituary. I've been watching them since the 90s. I love the rhythm. Now we're friends with them.
How many times have you seen Obituary?
Actually, this would be my first time.
This is your first time?
I'm very honored.
You came down all the way from Boston for this show, right?
I bought my tickets while I was taking the shit. So that's like pretty cool. I was born in Tampa, and Obituary got kicked ass.
Fuck that guy.
And I'm gonna fucking tear that shit up. I don't give a fuck. Obituary! Death metal capital of the world!
I think it's a confusion sometimes when people look at my artwork is that it's very high tech, but really it's extremely low tech. It's very basic, it's very primal, it's physical. The reason I can make like music that drags in a way that doesn't sound like it's being played off the computer is because I'm doing it all manually.
Oh, I'm gonna go high.
As I go up.
Yep. Oh, that's not too bad.
Shit.
I think I decided to make my own instruments initially because I was having trouble making heavier music with electronic instruments that were available. I'm also a mechanical engineer in microfluidics and microscopy. I did some bands while I was in engineering school, metal bands, playing bass and guitar, and just equally as passionate about the music as I was about the engineering. I kind of got frustrated by the band member thing. So at some point I was like, I'm gonna program drum machine music and play my guitar along with it. But playing along with the sequence with the guitar, it kind of gets away from you. It sounds great in the studio, but it needed to be more alive. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make something that I slide. It just took off from there. These were the first ones that I made. So these are basically just controllers for synthesizers. USB output to your computer or to any synth that you want. The idea with this was that the faster you go, the higher the pitch. So this is a new setup, tentatively calling it like the gridiron. The stylus right here that basically follows the grooves. You can create the beats like that. This one's called Rails. This is the one I've played the most, toured the most with. There's 8 buttons here, so you can basically do different combinations of buttons at different positions to trigger different sounds. They don't make their own sound. It's an interface. I'm basically taking a really nice physical thing, a small machine that I've built, and then you basically just attach encoders or potentiometers to them so that you can send that to a little computer and read out all that information. This one is basically, I wanted to have a big chunk of steel that spun and slid, something you just could really... This one was difficult because you gotta measure the spinning with an encoder and the sliding. The thing about it having weight, the device having weight, is you can hear the weight. It's using the quality of the materials to act as your instrument. This is the National Center for Microscopy and Imaging Research. I work with physicists and biologists to come up with new ways to image cell biology. This device allows you to take a block, a 1 millimeter cube of mouse brain or whatever sample, and you slice it and then image each slice. I don't know what this sample is. It's probably some brains. These devices are basically small robots, and we need to modify them and make them work better. So that's my job. I'm a mechanical engineer. I work with 3D modeling software and then modify them, get a machine to the shop, bring them back in. So when I'm building a lot of the instruments that I'm designing, I use the same software. In some ways, the partnership between the two things keeps me fresh. I mean, a lot of what I do is based on hardware and automation equipment and gears and bearings and things that slide. So there's something about like being in that environment with this really, I mean, these microscopes are $10 million. No one's spending that kind of money on making a musical instrument, but I'm trying to like apply those same design strategies. When I was first building them, it was like I had a sound in mind and I really wanted to find a way to appropriately like play that sound. But now I think it's more what my body is like able to do live as one person. Right now I'm working on an album for Relapse that comes out sometime in the fall, and this one is special for me because I've built new instruments for the first time since like 2010. These new instruments, it's a totally new idea. And I may have a partner or two to develop these into something like a boutique controller company or instrument company. Because I don't see that many tactile, physical, industrial controllers. And I feel like it's a shame because there's so many gnarly musicians out there, and those guys should have gnarly stuff.
You think God can really love goths? Yes, of course. There is things that are from the devil, it's true, but not everything.
What is from the devil?
Some bands, they say clearly in their lyrics, you know, you can hear it.
From American church groups destroying Beatles records in the 60s, to Norwegian black metal bands burning churches in the 90s, Christians and rockers have had a volatile relationship, to say the least. I'm Jack Hutchcraft, and I'm a journalist for Vice. I was walking through Soho to buy some guitar strings and a poster caught my eye. It was for Asylum.
Hi.
A Bible study group for goths, punks, metalheads and just general outcasts. As a metal fan and someone interested in spirituality, I wanted to see just how they managed to combine the music of the devil with the word of God. Some people think it's quite strange to like be into Gothic culture and Gothic style. Or...
If you go to other churches, kind of try to change you, say, oh, you shouldn't wear this, or you shouldn't listen to this music because it's of the devil.
So do you think Slayer? Do you think their music is demonic, or is that got the devil in it?
I mean, I like the imaging. They have fantastic artwork. Mm-hmm. But I think it definitely looks like there is some demonic stuff involved.
So this is from Disciple, which is from the album God Hates Us All,
okay.
2001. God hates us all, he fucking hates me.
Yeah.
Pessimist, terrorist. Sounds a lot like hell is spreading all the time. I'm waiting for the day the whole world fucking dies.
Yeah. He's obviously not following a Christian life. And I'm not saying this is not demonic, but he needs to be saved. He needs Jesus, this guy.
Because it's a small group, it's not one person standing up at the front telling people anyone's allowed to ask any question, and that can be, should you have sex before marriage, are there aliens? But I think there's an advantage with the alternative scene because there's a lot of spirituality going on. You've got sort of Satanist bands and talking about death and sex and all this sort of stuff, so it's all quite spiritual and intense, and that kind of suits us. Like we've got intense spirituality, but it's just positive rather than negative. To me, it's a light in the darkness.
How did it all begin, Billy?
Asylum started many years ago, handing out flyers for people into metal or goths or punks or whatever it is that they might be. Just kind of grew from there.
What did it say on the flyers?
Jesus is very fond of punks and metalheads.
Right.
Anybody can be a Christian. What you class as your stereotypical image of a Christian.
Yeah.
Or somebody who looks like Alice Cooper.
Why do you think this is what I need to do? Because that is a big dedication to get on the street corner.
I felt it was something that God was asking me to do. After a while I just said, well God, if you want this to happen, you're going to have to make it happen.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing it. So God made it happen.
For a long time, perhaps it's a misconception that you can't live a spiritual life or Christian life and be into metal or be a goth.
Well, God never said that you couldn't be a Christian and a goth or a metaler or a biker.
Do you think if Jesus was alive now, he'd be a goth?
He'd probably be a biker because he needs to travel.
Right. So a lot of people think it's really weird to like Slayer and Gorgoroth and a lot of anti-Christian bands, but then still be a Christian.
For me personally, I had to get rid of a lot of the old music that I used to listen to.
What like?
And
what
Slayer, God Hates Us All.
Yeah, that's obviously problematic.
Yeah, it's problematic. I mean, I'm a big fan of Alice Cooper.
Yes,
and,
yeah, me too.
He's a Christian. But
right.
You wouldn't think it if you just went to one of his shows.
And what makes it different from other Christian groups or the mainstream church?
I feel that I can be alternative.
So what makes you keep coming back?
I guess I've just got hope now that no matter what happens, God is with me, and when I die I'm going to go to heaven. It's like a place which is promises, bliss. And to see all of the people who have died in my life, again, even like cats and stuff like that, I'm sure I'll see them again. It will be bittersweet.
Do you ever feel conflicted by like listening to certain types of music or certain bands?
I'm not going to listen to anything that is slagging off Jesus. Well, when people think of Christian music, immediately they think of Cliff Richard. They don't think of Alice Cooper, they don't think of Megadeth, but Jesus said, come as you are.
We're desperate for salvation, and to me that's where I wear black, because it's like, the world is broken. It's the hope of Christ that gives me purpose in life.
What we're doing is we're taking what we find life-affirming in the world and we're bringing it to a fellowship.
Do you think Jesus would be in the mosh pit at the gigs, like at the heavy metal gigs?
I don't know. I mean, it might depend on traditionally what footwear he's supposed to be wearing as to whether I'd advise that was a good idea or not.
Yeah.
I am overwhelmed with troubles, and my life draws near to death. I am counted among those who go down to the pit. I am like one without strength. I am set apart with the dead, like the slain who lay in the grave, whom you remember no more, who are cut off from your care. You have put me in the lowest pit, in the darkest depths. Your wrath lies heavily on me. You have overwhelmed me with all your waves.
If you had told me 2 years ago, oh, there's going to be this thrash metal band that's in Te Reo, and I would have been like, you're fucking crazy.
Te Reo works extremely well with the metal genre. It's amazing. I'd never encountered it. Explosive, right?
The fact that they're taking that, putting it into their music, and then writing songs with it helps that foundation of that language be communicated not only in New Zealand, but also across the globe.
If we were to lose Te Reo Māori in New Zealand, we may as well be any old Western civilization who's just lost contact with its own identity. All the odds are against us to survive as a culture. It's the number one thing to keep it all going.
We as Alien Weaponry want to get Māori out there to the world in order to inspire New Zealanders to actually fight to keep the language, because it is dying out. We used to use them for, you know, that was our pocket money. Each of those marbles was worth like 50 cents or whatever. We're trying to decide whether we want to reinstate them as swear jars.
We don't want to reinstate them as swear jars.
Lewis is loud, but so is Henry.
No.
We can all be loud, but...
Dude, don't just say, oh, Lewis is loud, but we're all loud. Jeez, yeah.
I don't think it was supposed to be quite this serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, me and Lewis, who's my younger brother, we've kind of been playing music since we could walk and talk. When we decided to start writing actual songs together, you know, it kind of just worked. We'd recently watched District 9, so that was kind of the inspiration for the band name. We thought it was a really cool movie, and for an 8 and 10-year-old, that's like a really cool band name, so it's kind of stuck.
I can do tui noises like...
Lewis was always using his ears.
Yeah,
he was very oral, like... I mean, I used to find Lewis sometimes lying on the floor with his ear against the floor, and I'd say, what are you doing? And he'd say, I'm listening to the water running through the pipes. Henry was good at drawing and making things and, like, figuring out things, how they worked, and he was, like, a really good artist from a very young age.
I mean, it's been pretty exciting just over the last summer gone, because the boys did, for the first time, they were booked on really big festivals, so playing really big stages. For us, it's been quite satisfying just seeing how they handle that themselves.
So, Lewis, can you and Ethan get the washing in and hang out once in the back?
Yeah.
In the back laundry, please.
Does that have to be exactly right now?
Yes, because the sun will go down if you leave it much longer.
But it's not going to go
Just
wet,
go
man.
and do it.
That's an accusation of junk.
Henry, is all of that black stuff dry, is it? Did you guys actually test it to see if it was actually dry?
Yes.
Yeah.
I go to Green Bay College, which is in Ruakaka, about 15 minutes drive from here. It's like a pretty average-sized school, just over 500 kids. I haven't always liked school, but lately I've been learning to enjoy it. God damn it. We're in the Green Bay College music room at the moment, and this is where I spend most of my time at school. difficult. I grew up in a really musical household, so I've always had access to music. I guess I've always just found it as an easy vehicle to express myself. I mean, I'm good at it, so I might as well, like, do it.
We're at Otamatea High School. It's in Maungaturoto. It's where I go to school. None of my family is really musical at all, so I sort of had to discover music myself. Growing up, there wasn't much metal in the house. The closest that I ever got was sort of Pink Floyd. Once I got on the bass, I loved it. And so I just kept on playing and haven't stopped.
Look at that filthiness. Started working here 3 months ago. You know, I've been into cars and stuff since I was quite young, and you know, relatively recently I've gotten into actually doing like the mechanical side. Not really plan B. Like I just enjoy doing things with my hands, eh? It's something I like doing, and just being able to do this stuff yourself is really, really good. It's a bit weird having to work in my band life with this. You know, of course, being here, I'm having to pretty much work full-time, and the fact that my band is such a big part of my life now, it's quite hard to balance those things. Funky donkey.
The first time I came over here, I was like sitting over there actually just on the step. Neil was passing around the bass between like other kids. You know, everybody was kind of trying it out, but I was the only kid that could reach the end of the bass comfortably. Comfortable. Yeah, that. That sounds trippy. My relationship with Henry and Lewis has gotten to the point where we're not really friends anymore. They call me their brother, and it's not an exaggeration. I spend half of my time at their house. I mean, we have a lot of fun together. I'm definitely closer with them than I am with any of my other friends, really.
Me and Lewis spent the first few years of our schooling at a kura kaupapa Māori. You know, not only do we have Māori whakapapa, but we've also got, you know, a little more connection maybe than some other people who haven't, you know, taken up Māori.
I feel like people are a little bit afraid to delve into speaking Māori because they're scared of offending people, but I think we need to make it clear that speaking Māori isn't going to offend anyone, it's actually going to help the language, so like, it's actually worse if people don't speak it. Ruanati Whenua. That's actually based on a battle at Pukehinahina, and our great-great-great-grandfather, Te Ahuaho, fought at that battle. The Māori built underground bunkers underneath their pa to shelter them because the British were bombarding their pa for like a day and a half. So when they stormed in, there was no one there. And so they were like, yeah, we captured the pa, and then the Māori came up from the ground and then ambushed them. That's a story of like heroicness, you know, just triumphing against all odds.
It's a good location for a heavy metal band to rehearse because we've kind of got no neighbours, so it's pretty chill. We've had an issue with one of the radio packs. the wireless transmitter setups for the guitars. So yeah, it's the kind of thing we do quite a bit of. As the band is a bit of a ongoing kind of operation that needs to be soldered together, and I actually do their front of house sound. That's probably the main role that I perform for the band now, is I'm their sound tech when they perform live. I worked for years in recording studios, so I've kind of pulled on some of those, my past work history, and I stepped into that role. So I'm quite enjoying that. On my great-grandfather's side, we're Ngāti Pikiao, which is a Rotoiti Lakes district. On my great-grandmother's side, we're Ngāti Raukawa. But most of my childhood experiences were with our Ngāti Pikiao whānau. It's a cool, and my wife sometimes says spooky place because of the dark bays in the lakes and the deep lake, you know.
Having that solid personal connection with our home and our family here, there's purpose in why we're getting out on the stage and singing about what we're singing about.
Bear in mind it's really fucking cold at the moment, so I'm not being a little bitch. Ooh, I can actually feel it. Coming back and establishing more of a connection with your whānau, it's like we haven't really been doing that. This is kind of helping to establish who we are, where we come from, and like why we need to keep doing this, you know?
Take your carpet off and we'll do the interview. He's always wearing his carpet.
It's his rustic carpet, man.
Oh my God. Straight away I walked over to the fence and looked over at the lake, and I was like, wow, this place is beautiful. I don't really have the whole whānau thing here like these guys do, but...
He's our blood whānau.
Hey man, what's your name? Hey Mana. Alright. Nice to meet you, man.
We're representing kind of these stories that Dad's learned through our whānau and we've learned through him, so it's our family stories that we're sharing with people, so there's quite a strong connection with, you know, this place and what we're doing with the band.
First of all, the Māori language is pure, and the English language is the language of many languages. My grandmother took me soon after I was born. She spoke Māori, so naturally, well, I had to speak Māori. I knew no other language. The first day at school, I was whacked over the head. I got such a fright, I wet myself. Can you imagine a 4-year-old child being whacked over the head by a stranger? He sent me home. My grandmother says, "Hea koe tere hoki mai ai, I mimi au I taku tarau." Yeah? Mimi au I taku tarau. Hea koe mai pēnai. But te au e te Pākehā. So the next morning, she caught our horse and hopped on, grabbed me, put me on the back of the horse, and off we went to the school. She let me down and got off and walked up. Ka wara wai pātōringa ki taku mokopuna amore atu. It was then that he knew, oh, this kid couldn't talk English. Waiata is history. To understand the waiatas that we sing, you have to know the Māori language because the history is all there in the waiata.
I think cut it off there. No, but the site can just be cut off. Just
Through music, I think you can promote all sorts of things that are happening in our community, things that are happening in the world. Amazing, unifying messages. Yeah. For us as Māori, karakia is really important. karakia prayer. And I would advise them to, before going on stage, is to karakia, ask for, you know, the strength and the guidance from their ancestors, for their support to help them in their concerts and in their, you know, tours around and their trips.
I mean, we've got our beautiful sliding doors, the peeling vinyl, you know, a bit of foliage. The Black Pearl is an awesome van. It's a 2002 Ford Transit. She's a minter. Yeah.
Our number plate says R.
Yeah, if you come and observe the number plate. So this is why it's called the Black Pearl. Is because actually it's a pirate ship.
Yes.
It's been the bandwagon for, I think, 3 years now we've had it. We nearly blew it up once when it ran out of water, but luckily we were able to bring it back from that, and it's done another 50,000 k's since, so it's pretty reliable as far as Fords go.
Slightly wide there, because
that's about perfect.
Basically, from when these guys started, their goal was always to play at Wacken before Henry was 20. So it's pretty crazy to be going over there real soon.
Can you slide it in between these and like push them all out?
it's gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna be so fun to be stuck with these guys for like 3 months.
So far, we haven't really experienced anything like on the same level. So I guess this is kind of a new start for us.
For me, I still think of myself as where we were 3 or 4 years ago, where I don't expect anyone to know who we are. And I mean, it's awesome, but it's, yeah, strange.
It's weird walking around and someone that you've never met before says, "Oh, you're that guy from Enlightening, eh?"
Really, the crowd is the thing that rocks us up most. It doesn't matter even if you stuff up, because like it's almost like a motivation to push through.
This is your last opportunity to mosh. I want everyone involved. This song is our latest single. This is about the ancient Māori custom of Kai Dada.
If you don't know your language, you don't know your heritage, you don't know your whakapapa, you don't know where you come from, you don't know any of that, you're gonna be lost. We were one of the last Indigenous people in the world to be colonised. The ultimate goal of a coloniser is to delete a culture, amalgamate into a single society that doesn't reflect the Indigenous. In the language lies the subtleties of the culture that you can't express. I can't express to you right now in English the subtleties and the beauty of the Māori culture with this language, because it doesn't suffice, you know? In my mind, there ain't no chance it's gonna die. It's just not gonna happen. There's no two ways about it, you know? It has to survive. It's too strong a culture to be deleted.
If you're looking at where that's come from my dad being whipped for speaking Māori, to his parents being treated like shit, to where it is now, we've come a long, long way. So I think sometimes we get hung up on, it needs to be this, statistics of this, but you actually got to sometimes look at what's actually happening. It's like 30 years ago I was trying to do this shit, but it just wasn't working, you know, in the 90s it just wasn't working. But now, look how far it's come, you know, here's these boys up there doing te reo Māori heavy music. And I can't wait to see them go off on their journey around the world and fuck shit up.
This might actually provoke people into deciding, hey, maybe it's a useful thing to learn and maybe there's more to it than just being able to speak another language. Our songs are the karakia. You know, we're singing about our tūpuna and about things that we're very passionate about. Really, we're getting up there and we are almost doing a karakia to the world.
Rua